Peace to creator, peace and love. So we're gonna talk about a couple of things that's gonna help you better understand. Um, so to kind of sum up this earth and life, I'm getting down to the scientific point and to the true point that the scientists and people in respective places ain't gonna tell you. A lot of truth has not come to the conclusion they have come. They have said some of the things and not have real and very close to the conclusion, but they have not summed it up. So many could say that, oh, you go to your higher self. And many could say things like you go to the consciousness, which would be correct. It's a little deeper than that. So let me sum this up very simple for you. Now, yeah, of course you choose to come here. Yes, but it's actually deeper than that. You ever wonder how come from the day you're born you always want to go back to the place that you came from? Now we seem to call this place heaven, but what we're not realizing is that you're actually talking about a consciousness. It's a consciousness that you are very much a part of, and you've heard me say many times that we're not here. These are avatars, which would actually sum up some real prophets. We're not going to say to Mr. J, because Mr. J didn't say that. The real prophet says, real prophets with an S, plural, said, if somebody do something wrong to you, take it in good cheer. Why? Because you're not here and it doesn't matter. It's realizing that the you down here is not the real you. You're in the avatar, and the you is in the avatar, but it's only a portion of you that's in the avatar. Now, this is gonna totally confuse some people if you haven't done deep research and you're not fully awake, because a lot of folks say they're awake, but you're really not. Now, to simplify this, we come from, or I'll say it like this: yes, we come from a consciousness, but let me simplify it for you. You are not even here. You're watching this video, but you are not here. I know some of you are like, but it doesn't make any sense, Mr. News. You're making no sense. But I'm making a lot of sense if you hear me out. So please do hear the whole matter. Call me with open mind so that you understand. Now, the greater is a big consciousness that spreads oneself. You call it creating, but you can't create something that exists. So spreads oneself or extends oneself, and sometimes disbands oneself based on how the creator feels or what's going on. Now, the creator wants us to have free will, which you could symbolize fall from. People say it's fall from grace, but that's wrong, because they step is fall from the creator, but you're actually not falling from the creator. You made some mistakes. The creator gave you free choice, free will. Now, the free will is for you to paint the canvas into a reality. This reality is your canvas. There's many other realities out there that are canvases, because we live in dualities. In other words, there's many versions of you, because the real you keeps painting more yous on the canvas like this reality, which is really not even reality. This is like, I don't even know what you want to call this. This is something that people call life, but this is not really life. This would be like a test, a school, a place that you can actually experience life. Because in the form that we're really in, you cannot, in the form that you're in, the real form, and I'll get to that in a minute, you can't experience life on this planet. You can't. The reason you can't, because, well, I'll get to that in a minute. You can't really fully even experience life on this planet, because you are literally still a light being. You are what we call them stars, but not realizing when you look up at the sky and if you see a star, you may be looking at yourself. It gets deep, and the Creator created all these things. Now, we shouldn't be calling them stars. We call them stars, but we're not supposed to, because that's actually a wrong interpretation. The Bible told you things that was wrong. And when you look up and you see so-called stars, you're seeing some of y'all are looking at yourselves. Light beings. You're literally out in freaking space, if you will, or out in water or waters, depending on what level you on or is from, because there's many levels. And you are literally making, well, I have to say this because you can't make it. You're putting, we have literally put portions of ourselves in different realities all over different galaxies. This is a fact. To experience what you would call life. Because in our form, and this avatar, these avatars are not the original avatars either. The original avatars were more powerful. We'll go back to that so we can actually be able to inform our abilities, which explains why we have so many powers. But you can't until the body mutates or transforms into something that can be used with those abilities that we have in us naturally. And at the same time, remember, this is an avatar. So you are controlling multiple yous on different dimensions, different worlds, different places, because you're learning all sorts of things. The Creator actually allowed us to experience things no matter how good or gruesome they are. Now, let me explain this, because some of y'all are like, what? And they would call that the fall from grace, but grace is a statue, so that's bullshit. This would be the time where the Creator pretty much said, I'm going to allow y'all to experience these things. And I think if the Creator allows you to experience these things, then you have to start thinking about what that Bible is saying and who really wrote that book. Because the Creator allowed you to experience certain things, then there were certain things that you were allowed to do. And there were certain things that you were not supposed to do because you're supposed to still live righteously. Yes, that is correct. But there's a lot of stuff written in that book that's simply not right and not so. That is a lot of trickery. And again, when you read that King James Version, you can't just read it and think you got understanding, because you won't. You'll be totally misled. You need to have a dictionary or a laptop, and you need to go deep into it for hours on just on one word alone to figure out what it's talking about. Like the meaning word diverse means different shapes and sizes, but it's talking about diverse, such as the brick pyramids. When we had crystal pyramids that were not exactly what you call pyramids. It was something a little different. It was more an energy source. We didn't do it for looks and stuff. But anyways, that's just one example. And even diverse has many meanings. It could mean way more than that, depending on what the scripture is used in. So we have to start looking at things different. And we got to get out of religion. Religion's not going to cut it, because religion's of the devil. Now, the unfortunate thing is that just like you are a star in the sky, we call them stars, we shouldn't call them stars, but just like you are a light being in the sky somewhere, and you projected or put a teeny bit of portion of yourself in an avatar. And I believe, from what I understand, many avatars from the different galaxies, you get to experience each galaxy and whatever life, for whatever reason. But the main result that is supposed to come from this is to learn. And we could not be able to come down in natural form into these bodies because we were too powerful. And the Creator is the head of us, but the Creator extended oneself, and we are still a portion of the Creator's body, so to speak. Because the Creator is, of course, energy himself, but the Creator is extending oneself, and we are the extensions of that oneself. Not us, I mean, on this earth. I'm talking about out there in what you would call so-called space, which is really just waters upon waters of many waters. Um, and we are the extension of that of the Creator's oneself, and that reality. And this reality, we are extensions of our own selves, putting little portions of our own selves inside these bodies to experience things, which still would make you a portion of the Creator, because of you and your natural state is a portion of the Creator, right? Which is a state that you could not come down here in, or live the life, or experience life, or what you would call life, um, in those bodies, because you're simply a light beam, and we literally floated across each planet, and we were observing these planets, and we wanted to experience these planets, aka the tree of good and evil, um, so to speak, or the tree of knowledge, so to speak. Part of the tree of knowledge sort of thing was not just that, because that's taken from a good aspect. The bad aspect would be of the fact that you have fallen ones who appear as light beings. They are light beings too. Now they look like stars, and this is really gonna mess you up. Now they project their particular avatars on different planets like Venus and Jupiter and the moon and stuff like that. They have done that. But they have also projected their avatars on planet Earth and many other universes, which is why many universes are going through the same messed up scenario or have been through it, which could be called, I rebuke the name, the Lucifer experiment. What does that mean? And I rebuke the name. In other words, it's the devil has projected, or devils has projected themselves into avatars. Okay, that's why people say it represents the devil's fallen ones. There are people who are not like us, who are light beings, out there in the waters of many waters, what you would call space, um, that projected or put a portion of themselves to war against us, because they couldn't beat us on that level, as you know, but they war against us by somehow having their avatars, putting a piece of themselves on this earth, which represents the devil's angels that we fall on first earth. And they use these particular fallen ones that are in avatars to how I say it, to try to take us down and not letting us go back to the place you come from, which is you going back to you. And then when you get back to you, you get to deal with the Creator, who extended oneself, who you are a portion of the Creator. Okay, you gotta start looking at things different. So when you actually are looking up and you see a star in the space, there's a chance that you could be looking at yourself, because that is your true essence of how you look. Um, I know I have read things where if we could combine not only that the piece of it, because only a little piece of us is in here, but the whole us into a body, we become superhuman. Um, you know, somehow, which would be like, if I understand, it's supposed to be hard to do. It is actually much easier for you to live out your life, and then you pass away and go back to where you're from, which is just an energy light being. And then, because of you're back in your original state, you get to deal with the Creator, which seems like nothing but love. Um, but many times we have projected a piece of ourselves into these avatars on different places, um, to experience what you call life. Eventually, you have what you call the forever life, which is supposed to be where you project your future self at. Um, some say that you have 9 times to go through this, 9 lives. Like they were saying in Catacombs, they did that on purpose. You have 9 times to do this before you end up where you're really gonna end up. And you gotta be careful with your pineal gland, because what you project or what you end up dealing with that you do not get over with or you do not cleanse yourself out of can be your future life and your next projection. Um, you know, and so now that you realize that the spiritual warfare is not just on this earth and these avatars, but you are fighting on many levels of many waters, which you call space, and these other entities that are out there that appear as light, just like you appear as light, project themselves into avatars and get to live out what you call life, because there's an agreement to allow some things that shouldn't have been allowed to take part of this life experiment. And there were wars over this. And I guess to end the war, or to try to, before everything went crazy, there was some deal made that they could take part of it if they just chill. But I don't understand how we feel for that, because, the devils never keep their word. So somehow they were able or allowed to take part of this thing we call life, and they start putting their freaking projections into avatars, a piece of themselves. And that's why there's books that say, oh, did you put good seed down? And then the thing says, yeah, but then some put bad seed, and we'll let them grow up together. Well, that's just talking about how we projected our good selves into these avatars by the Creator's will, who of course is energy, and expanded oneself, and we are the expansion of that oneself of the Creator. But however, somehow we made a mistake and agreed to let some things take part of what we call life, and we shouldn't have. Now, because of that, we have a war. And so when you see, some folks call them orcs, or if you see, between the lines, or outside nations as well, and I'm not prejudiced, or if you see ones you would call fallen ones, not realizing that anything that's not us represents the devil's army. That don't mean they have to stay on that side, but that's the side they're on until they realize that that's the side that they're on, and revoke that side and say, I'm gonna be on the Creator's children's side. I don't want to be like that, and they have to make a change. Which is why you say here, some say that, oh, some of them can make it into, if they love this and they go by the laws, but some of them laws, like I told y'all before, were not laws of the Creator. Some of those laws are laws of the devil's trick to get you trapped in here. Some people will say, don't go to the light when you die. They're just trapping you back and recycling you. The thing is, you're supposed to go to your highest estate, which would be going back to you, the energy source, which is look like a star, which is a light being that put a portion of themselves down here in these avatars in the first place. And this is why when you sleep, you have to go back to that place. You call it heaven, but you don't realize you're actually going back to your original self. And because you are with the original self, you are dealing with the Creator, because the Creator is one who extended oneself, and you in your original state is an extension of the Creator. Therefore, you deal with the Creator all the time. You see? So we're not only just fighting these. I always get a little further when you talk about fallen ones, particularly if we want to get further deep in it. When you talk about reptilians and stuff like that, these are things that somehow are trapped on certain planets, and they do appear as light. They have to use these battles of these weapons of war to stay in certain areas, because they have fallen. But they also have to do that to stay on this planet, and then they come out to do certain things. They have to stay inside the Earth because they cannot be on the surface of the earth. So they have fallen in many ways. But however, they are still projections from some type of light source that the Creator allowed things to do that. And because the Creator gives everybody and everything free will, and because they projected the evilest things or the most gruesomest things, because that's their reality they want to live in, they want to be a predator versus being someone of good. And they prey on the people who chose to just be a good thing. The image of me and anything, similar as far as how I say skin color or anybody who's just a good regular person would be a good thing. A humanoid shape or a man or the shape that we in would be a good thing. Now there are things that took other shapes, such as reptilians, dragos. That is a bad thing. They projected that evenness onto this reality because that's what they wanted, and they are bad. They have fallen, and these are the wandering stars. Now, when you see them in the sky, like red fireballs. Some would say planets, but when you see us, we look like light shining stars, just white in the sky. And that's why we call them stars, but you really shouldn't call them stars because you're calling yourself a star. And as you know, calling yourself a star would actually be pagan. Superstars is why these demons name themselves superstars. You should be calling yourself, I know folks say star seed, but you should be saying that. You'd be saying the Creator's children or Creator's child. Something along that line. I wouldn't go any further than that. But this is just to kind of break down, some of the things that we further understand. And it is true that the Creator gets all the glory because the Creator extended oneself, which makes you a light being amongst other light beings out there in which you would call space. You would call yourself a star, but you're not. You're still a light being. And you poured a little portion of yourself into an avatar, not just one of many avatars all over the universe. And you truly get to experience each avatar life. So in other words, like there's a good me on over here that's teaching. There may be a good me over someplace else who could be a cook or a chef or a builder or something like that. Hopefully all versions are good of me. That's what I hope, that I'm projecting all over the universe. That's what I like to think, because I feel I'm a good guy. So, but when you start reading the Bible, you have to do deep research to get a full understanding. And it's like I said, it is very careful not to be careful what you accept when you deal with your pineal gland, as far as what you accept, because what you accept in this reality as good as what you can play out into another reality and have to live it out. So you don't want to sit there and take evil as good or sin as good, because then there's in the next reality that once you go back to that, you're rid of yourself, you may have to experience that particular life that you thought was going to be good in another life, someplace else, in another planet, someplace that you have to project to push yourself into just to experience. It will bring more pain to you because that's what you wanted. Okay, that explains a lot. I'm going to go way more deep research with scripts and so forth to give you more. I suggest you start looking this stuff up to understand where I'm coming from, and get what I'm talking about. Okay, peace and love. Praise the Creator, no about soul's energy, not man or woman.